Good day. My name is Matome Muratova from the National Consumer Tribunal, and I will be taking you through the filing of a Form TI-71 subsection 3. So this section requires one to complete as applicant and then also details of the respondent. So in the part that says in the matter between, where it requires applicant, you will provide your full names and surname. So you do not need to provide initials, complete names and surname. And then the respondent would be the debt counselor, so the full name of the debt counselor as well as their registration number. The second page of this form has Part A and Part B as well as Part C. So Part A requires the details of the applicant. That would be your name, physical and postal address, email, telephone, and fax numbers. Of course, they are completed if available. And then Part B requires details of the respondents. That would be the debt counselor, also similar details just for them. So their name, their physical and postal address, their email, telephone, and fax number. Part C. So Part C is the details of the application for the clearance certificate. So this means that there is an existing order, and to that order you wish to have a clearance certificate because you've honored all obligations. So here you're required to provide the date of the debt rearrangement. That is the date the debt counselor filed the application on your behalf, the names of the parties to the debt rearrangement. That will be the DC as the applicant on your behalf is the consumer versus all the various credit providers in the original consent order. And then after that, you append a copy of that consent order we recently mentioned, and then the date on which the application was made to the debt counselor. That is the date where you requested the clearance certificate to no avail. Part D of the form. So Part D is the applicant's certification of notice to parties, service of documents, and means of service. Now, before we get into the table before you, I need to first inform you that there are three ways in which service might be effected to the respondent and all other parties when filing with the tribunal. So you can file and serve your application by email, by registered mail, and by hand. So by hand, we would require a part on your submission where the DC themselves signed to acknowledge receipt. And then by email, we require consent to service. So that means you would need to request their consent, the DC being the respondent, to have them accept service by email. And then there's also service by registered mail. That one we just require a copy of the mail slip that was provided at the post office. So going into the box, these boxes here before you, so as you can see on one side it says the respondent described in Part B, that will be the debt counselor, and then you confirm how you served them depending on which method you used of the three I have recently mentioned. So you can say delivery to the party's physical address, you can take that one if relevant, dispatch by registered mail to the party's postal address, or dispatch by fax or email. The last part, Part E. This is the applicant certification of other documents appended to the application. So this is where you certify that you've provided all the relevant documents as requested, as required, and then also any additional ones that you may have included. You can add Part C, for example, you say A, B, then you say C, and you include any other thing you included. Perhaps there's an affidavit, you can also point that out, and then after that you just sign, confirm where you signed it, by who, your position, and that will be the form complete.